Their first-place showdown with the White Sox amounted to little more than a speed bump. The Tigers are hot, real hot right now. Winners of 13 of their last 15. Well, they didn't get the death penalty, but the Penn State football program may soon be bleeding to death. This after the NCAA brought down the hammer with devastating sanctions today. All of it in the wake of the Jerry Sandusky sexual abuse case. Well, the scene is all set for the final round of the British Open Championship with Adam Scott looking down at the rest of the field. The Aussie has a 4-shot lead over Graham McDowell and Brant Snedeker, with a guy named Tiger Woods still in the hunt, 5 shots off the pace. Former Grand Valley and Central Michigan football coach Brian Kelly was back in town Friday, appearing at the 2nd annual Irish Eyes Golf Classic, with money raised from the tournament going to the Kelly Cares Foundation to help fight breast cancer. Kelly didn't play in the outing because he just had back surgery a couple weeks ago for a herniated disc. So that gave us the chance to talk a little Irish football and, of course, the hot topic of the day, the pending college football playoffs. We got the official sign-off this week on the 4-team playoff, no more BCS. As a guy that led Grand Valley to a couple titles and going through the playoffs, you've always been a proponent of that. How nice to see that, you know, something that we thought wouldn't happen in our lifetime is going to happen here in 2 years.
Well, we're excited about it. It's certainly as a college football coach, you want to see the best teams play. Plus, we now get a playoff format to do that.
Springtime, the sun, the grass, the budding trees, another long, cold winter finally behind us. A new season, a new chapter of life, and a new chance at life for a group of guys at Guiding Light Mission.
All right, ready guys? What if we took some of these guys and we trained them to run in the Riverbank Run? We gave them a goal.
Jay Starkey of In the Image came up with the idea. So at a meeting at Guiding Light Mission, he asked recovering addicts, many of whom are homeless, if they'd be interested in training to run the 10K at the Riverbank Run.
And I looked up at my hand, and it was up in the air. You know, I don't remember putting it up there.
For Rusty Bowers, the thought of doing the Riverbank Run, let alone anything athletic, would have been incomprehensible even just 6 months ago.
Well, I'm kind of in between everything. I'm in a spot in life where I never thought I'd be, because at this time I thought I'd be dead.
While working in the automotive industry, repairing car interiors, Rusty developed an addiction to smoking crack. He did it nearly every day for 13 years. He got caught stealing from his customers, lost his job, and ended up in jail. He sank so low he decided suicide was the only way out.
I had my drugs and alcohol assembled to do what I was going to do.
But before he could go through with it, Rusty ran into a friend, a recovering heroin addict, who gave him the number to Guiding Light Mission.
I found myself dialing the numbers rather than doing what I was going to do. It's just, it was a miracle.
Since then, Rusty has been on the road to recovery, and with running, he's lost nearly 20 pounds, is off insulin and all diabetes medication, and it's giving him an overall sense of peace.
I want people to see what can happen in a 6-month span when you give your life to God. Is amazing when you finally take his hand, and he'll take you places you never imagined you could go.
Like Rusty, John Haysbrook is entered in this weekend's 10K, and like Rusty, he's a recovering addict. An auto technician, John buried himself in work, earning various degrees and certifications in the auto field. But as a business owner, the grueling 12-hour days took their toll, and John turned to alcohol to relieve the stress.
It escalated very, very quickly, and I ended up, you know, losing those people in my life and unfortunately losing myself in that process.
With seemingly nowhere else to turn, a friend stepped in and got John into a recovery center.
I simply had lost faith in people and completely lost faith in myself and in the power of God or anything out there that could change me. And that Guiding Light brought that back.
John is hoping to use the Riverbank Run as a springboard back into the game of life. With job offers said to be on the table and a place to go, he says he's all set. The folks at In the Image and Guiding Light Mission want this to become an annual event, to use the Riverbank Run as a part of the recovery process.
You've got totally different personalities. You've got people from the street, people in great lives. Man, you know, it's such an awesome, you know, chasm of people that are brought together and into a team that's really working for each other.
it's a nice weekend for us. But, you know, for us it's work, and we got to go to work again on Tuesday. But hopefully the fans will enjoy this one, and hopefully they'll, you know, remember this weekend. I'm sure they will. There was probably people from Chicago here as well that, you know, go home a little sad, but our fans this weekend, you know, should be real happy.
I bet they are. What a weekend it has been. The Red Hot Tigers sweeping their first place showdown with the White Sox. Hello and welcome once again to Sports Overtime. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Jason Terzis. It's great to have you along for the ride. Well, when you're hot, you are real hot, and the Tigers are the definition of the word right now. A 3-game sweep over the White Sox, and 13 of their last 15 overall has propelled the Tigers into first place. Take you to a hot, humid, and sold-out Comerica Park this afternoon, where former White Cap Jacob Turner was on the mound today. His team was down 1-0 here in the first, but Quentin Berry up. And how about Austin Jackson on second, and that is a long ball. Second home run of the year for Berry. It's a 2-1 Tiger lead. Next up, Miguel Cabrera, and this one is gone. Berry and Cabrera are going to go back-to-back. It's a 3-1 Tiger lead. Go to the third inning, Cabrera again, and check this one out. Straight away center field, no doubt about it. 23rd home run of the season. Look at this thing, going to go up into the camera well. 300th career home run for Miguel Cabrera, the 14th player to reach 300 home runs before turning 30. A few batters later then, it is Brennan Bosch, and he has been swinging a hot bat himself lately. Bosch with a 2-run shot to right center, his 11th, and it's a 6-1 Tiger lead. Sox did make a comeback to get back into it, but Jacob Turner would pick up his first win of the year. Here strikes out Alexi Ramirez, and then he's going to get Adam Dunn. Turner goes 5 1/3, gives up 7 hits while striking out 3. Tigers, winners of 13 of their last 15 to take over first place by a game and a half in the Central Division. 6-4 winners today over the White Sox.
That's awesome. You know, you don't get a chance to, you know, be on the same team with the guy that young and you know, reach that feat. But, you know, we've been seeing it for a couple years now, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a superstar. That's, you know, that's what he is. You know, he's one of those guys that's, you know, he's a couple of notches above most people, obviously offensively. So, you know, he's having a wonderful, wonderful career, and hopefully be a long, long career, and hopefully end up in Cooperstown.
Central Division standings right now, Tigers now in first, a 1.5 lead over the White Sox, 4.5 over the Indians. Tigers get the day off tomorrow before heading out on the road for 9 games with trips to Cleveland, Toronto, and Boston. Whitecaps at home this afternoon taking on the Burlington Bees. Let's just say runs a little bit hard to come by this afternoon at the ballpark. No score, 4th inning. Marcelo Carreño getting the strikeout to end the top half of the 4th. Game would go to the 13th inning with no score. Turns out the only run of the game coming, courtesy of the sacrifice fly. How about Nick Rickles with the sac fly, brings in a run. Turns out to be the only run of the game. Bees on top 1-0. Then bottom of the 13th, it is they get the strikeout to end the game. Bees knocking off the Whitecaps today by a final score of 1-0. Well, they said they had not made up their minds just yet, but behind the scenes, the decision had already been made. Penn State University officials deciding to remove the statue of Joe Paterno from outside of the football stadium. At around dawn this morning, a chain link fence and blue tarp was draped around the area, while inside workers used a forklift to remove the 7-foot-tall, 900-pound statue off of its base, and then they moved it inside of Beaver Stadium. About 100 to 150 students watched. Some of them chanted, "We are Penn State." The removal of the statue comes 10 days after a scathing report found that Paterno, with 3 other top Penn State administrators, had concealed allegations of child sexual abuse made against former assistant coach Jerry Sandusky. Now, meanwhile, the NCAA said today that it would levy, quote, corrective and punitive measures against Penn State in the wake of the child abuse sex scandal. The organization said it would spell out the sanctions on Monday morning at 9 o'clock, but disclosed no details today. But inside word is that it's set to be unprecedented penalties involving loss of multiple scholarships, bowl games, and a possible substantial fine. Former Michigan receiver Darryl Stoneham will play his final collegiate season at Baylor. He was kicked off the Wolverine team after his second drunk driving arrest and for violating his team probation. Stoneham should be immediately eligible due to graduate school exception rules from the NCAA, as long as he enrolls in a graduate school program at Baylor that is not offered at Michigan. Stoneham had 76 catches for over 1,000 yards with 6 touchdowns during his career at Michigan, but more importantly was a great return man. Well, it's become the unfortunate theme of the offseason. Another Lions player picked up by authorities. Defensive back Aaron Berry arrested on 3 charges of assault and brandishing a weapon. Police in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania say Berry was booked early yesterday morning. He was also arrested last month on suspicion of driving under the influence, in addition to other charges. In a statement on their website, the Lions said, quote, "We are extremely disappointed by the reports involving Aaron Berry. This now makes 7 arrests for the Lions this offseason, 2 by Berry, 2 by Nick Fairley, 2 by Mikael Lesure, and 1 by Johnny Colbreth. The Lions are set to report for training camp on Thursday, with first practices set for Friday morning. Well, a 4-shot lead with 4 holes to play. Adam Scott had to be thinking the British Open was his for the taking. But a bogey on 15, another on 16, another on 17, and finally one on 18 costs him the claret jug. Tiger Woods, who's never won a major after trailing after 54 holes, continues that streak. He fired a final round 73, finishes tied for 3rd. Adam Scott, 4-shot lead, 4 to play, misses the par putt on 15, and then on 16, how about this, from just a few inches away, lips it out, another bogey for him. He drops to 8 under par. Meanwhile, while Scott was making bogeys, Ernie Els birdies on 18 to finish at 7 under. He would make 4 birdies on the back 9 on his way to a final round 68. So while he headed to the clubhouse, Scott back out on the course with just a 1-shot lead. His second shot on the par 4 17th, going to miss the green and goes into the thick rough. He would then record his 3rd straight bogey, falls to 7 under, and ties with Els in the clubhouse. Then on 18, needs this to force a playoff, but he misses. And just like that, Ernie Els wins the British Open Championship as Scott closes with 4 straight bogeys to finish at 6 under. Els wins the claret jug for his 2nd British Open title and 4th major overall.
You know, I haven't been in this position for 10 years, obviously, so it's just crazy game. But I really feel for my buddy Scotty. You know, I really do. You know, I've been there before. I've blown majors before and golf tournaments before, and I just hope he doesn't take it as hard as I do.
I wasn't even really out of position, and I managed to get myself in some trouble and couldn't make the putts to get out of it the last 4 holes. But that's what was to be expected coming in here. It's a championship golf course. It's very difficult.
So here's your final leaderboard from the British Open. Ernie Els finishing at 7 under with rounds of 67, 70, 68, and 68 to finish at 273 total. He wins $1.4 million for the effort. Adam Scott started the tournament with a 64, ends it with a 75. He finishes a shot back. Tiger Woods finishing 4 shots off the pace, as well as Brandt Snedeker. Luke Donald, Graham McDowell, 5 shots off the pace, with Thomas Aiken, Nicholas Kolstertz each finishing 6 shots off the pace. In the final stage of the Tour de France, other than a sprint to the finish, amounting to a mere joyride for the man in yellow, Bradley Wiggins, as he becomes the first British man to win the Tour. He safely protected the yellow jersey during today's final ride into Paris. Wiggins wins the Tour de France by 3 minutes and 21 seconds. Well, a week from now, the 2012 Summer Olympic Games in London, England will be well underway. Up next here on Sports Overtime, we are going to introduce you to some of the Michigan athletes who are set to compete in the games, including former East Kentwood shot putter Tia Brooks. We'll have that story coming up next. We're also going to take you on down to Ann Arbor, where the Olympics gymnastics connection is alive and well. Jack Doles will take us for a sneak peek down at the U of M to an inside look at what's going on there as they get ready for the gymnastics competition. And meanwhile, today in London, the Olympic torch made a very interesting stop while on its way to opening ceremonies. We're getting you set for the Summer Games coming up here on Sports Overtime.